Welcome back, YouTubers. Grease Nut 86 again. Still underneath this 06 Z71 here. Now, one of my most favorite complaints or comments or descriptions of noises is one of a bearing and or ball joint being bad. A lot of folks will describe it as a howling or a grinding noise. So this is what happens. You've got bearings and joints all over these vehicles. Why? Because they're intended to move and articulate with the road to give you the smoothest and most stable ride possible. So let's start. This is the front end four-wheel drive model. It is very similar to those with all-wheel drive foreign and domestic cars and SUVs as well. Alright, so this section right here is called a CV axle, and it goes from the wheel all the way up to the front. Can't really see it, but it goes into what's called a differential. Same thing in the rear end. It's a housing that's got gears in it, which makes these drive by themselves as well. As soon as you hit the gas pedal, these are spinning. Now, unless you've got your all-wheel drive or your four-wheel drive turned off, this will just free spin with the momentum given to you from the rear end of the vehicle if it's rear-wheel drive, or the front end of the vehicle if it's front-wheel drive. So anyway, furthermore, everything that spins got to have a seal and a bearing in it to keep it centered and stabilized. So this is your wheel hub. There's a bearing in there. When that bearing goes bad, and you're, let's say, turning to the left, well, all the weight of the vehicle is coming onto the left side of the vehicle, or excuse me, to the right. Right? And you start hearing that howling noise or grinding noise. It's because that bearing is bad. That pressure of the vehicle, the weight of the vehicle is being pushed so much on that one side that if that bearing's gone, now you're just hearing that metal spinning on metal. Or if it's so chewed up that it's gouged out, you're going to hear some clicking and clunking in there as well. Same thing on the opposite end of this thing. There's a seal and a bearing that goes into the differential. If that's bad, no matter what, you're going to hear a howling noise. Now, if you hear it only when you're turning or braking, and the truck in the vehicle is diving forward, right? Like I said, that's 9 times out of 10 a bearing up here. It's either the wheel hub bearing or the differential CV bearing up there, right? Now another one too is these ball joints. If these ball joints go bad, right, they just kind of bolt into the bottom here. If they're loose, they'll wiggle around. But if there's a little ball, just imagine your shoulder socket. You know, you got a socket, and then you got the ball head of the bone that goes into that socket. And over time, this section here will get walled out, and that ball will just be kind of slopping around on the inside there. And or this section, the stud gets so worn out that it's just kind of bouncing around there in the lower ball joint mount, or same thing up there in the upper ball joint. So again, if you go to turn and you put pressure on the opposite side, and that's where the sound is coming from, it's those things going bad. Another thing is if you hear howling, no matter what, when you accelerate, it's a pinion bearing. Just get over yourself and understand that it's a pinion bearing. It's going to be a fairly hefty do-it-yourself job because you got to take the diff covers off, you got to drain the fluids, you got to take out the carrier assembly, take off the drive shafts to get to that bolt that holds that yoke on, slide the yoke out, and then pull that ring gear, or excuse me, that pinion gear out, and replace that stupid pinion bearing. A lot of money at the shop, or a lot of time at your own shop at the house in the driveway. But everything is doable. If it wasn't doable, then these things wouldn't still be on the road after 15, 20, 30, 40 years. Yeah, so that's a howling noise or grinding noise when driving or turning. It's a bearing. 9 times out of 10, it's a bad bearing or a combination thereof. All right, hopefully that helps. Grease Nut 86 out.